Rasa katoa. Mea sutai e karaki rā tātou. Tātou himene e honare. Nō reira e tu. E gloria manalo ki te whenua. Tātou kaupapa o te rānei. O mai koe tō ranga ki te whaimati ki o mātou. O mai koe tō kaha kroea o te hatua e nui ana. O mai koe te tikanga o tātou hūna. E kōrero e tō aroa. O reira. O mai koe tō aroa. Hima. Unua. Amen. Anaya. Eringa prawa te moana Pakahiwa te mua Patuhaleke te Patuhaleke marana mai kiruna Ina iwi o ngā motu e tau nei Oh, hio wio Kaua e te kua Kia ngaro te whenua Ina iwi o ngā motu haere mai Karanga patuhara keke O hiri tia na iwi Te reo karana Te reo pohiri E na iwi o ngā motu haere mai Haere, haere mai Perera, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. Pūnāe te wonga. Pūnāe te renga prawa te mōna. Ko tūnui o rami, te waka. Ko takahioi, te whenua. Ko rami ora, te pare tūpuna. Ko patuhara keke tū. Ko wiki te pare i te tanga. Te hei mai. Hinga mana, Inga reo, inga iwi katoa. Te haere mai rā te rānei, i te tautoko, te kaupapa, te konei. Haere mai mātou ki te tautoko koutou. Ka tika, te tai mai, te haupainga e konei ki te whakarongo, ki a koutou, ki a koutou e konei. E mihi ana hau ki koutou te rangatiro o te kaupapa nei, tēnā rā koutou katoa. Koutou rā, te iwi, e konei, tēnā rā koutou. Te haere mai ana koutou ki te whakarongo mai i tātou. I se i konei. Nō reira, kauro rā taku tū ki te mihi. Nō reira, tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou. Tēnā rā tātou.
Ma waina e rima e marai wa ore ma petika ma te pono me yaro
Torera, haringa mate, o iemarai, iemarai, iemarai. Tātou rata hongo warai. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā tātou koutou.
Ati he mauri ora ki te whai au ki te ao marama. Nonore he koloria ki te atua he wangaro ki te whenua he whakaro pai ki ngā tāmata katoa. Tau atu rai ngā whakaro ni ki a koe e kara, nau anō te hakapuare, nau anō te kai mau, te tuku karakia, tō tātou hui i tēnei wā tēnā rau atu koe. Rere tonu i ngā rārangi kōrero ki a koe, koutou, o whakakano hi mai e te maunga, e manae e tūmaina. O whangāra i te ringa paralawa e rere tonu ana. O takahiwa e te whenua, o tuhara ke te iwi, karanga mai, mihi mai. Karanga mai, mihi mai. Te kaunihera aroha e, o te taitoke rau e monka o māno o asumi. Nare mihi ake ani kia koutou, te hapori, kia mauri ake mai i tō ngātou ni, i tō manawa ni, i tō haroha ni, i tō takutai, i tō moana, ta rongo ake ai tātou i tēnei. E whakapaki mai ana ngā maru, ki waho nei, ko ia rā hoki, ko te reo, ko te tai ao. Tā reira, kia mauri ake mai koutou te reo, o tō tai ao i tēnei. Tā reira, mihi ake ane kia koutou i te whānau, mihi mai, karangama. Taku kupu whakaoti, kia rātou i ngā mate, kua riro atu ki te pō. Haere atu rā e ngā mate, haere, o ti atu. Ko tahi nei te kōrero kia koutou, haere mai, haere. Ka waihoa hau, te ao wairua ki te ao wairua, kia hoki mai ngā whakaro ni kia tātou e noho nei. Kia koe, te kai hautu, e huhana tēnā koe kia whaka kanohi mai hoki, i tō taha. O te ākauroa, me tō mana nui hoki, he kanohi kitea mo te iwi i tēnei rā. Nare mihi ake ani ki a. O tira, e aku whaia, e aku kaumātua, e aku tuakana, e aku te. Te haria mai tērā. Wepua mai o whakaro, wepua mai i tō wairua hoki, i tō manawani, e pāne ki te kaupapa, te reo karanga i tēnei. Nō reira, he nui ngā kaupapa kei mui a tātou, he nui ngā kōrero, māku ka whakakapi, taku kōrero i kone, uri noa, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou tātou.
E aroha, e whakapō, e
Ruinoi tō tātou ni pare, tēnā koutou, a tēnā rā tātou katoa.
Kia ora tātou, ko Rick Stoll with Tato Ingoa. I'm just here, the chair's given me the job, seeing as my home turf, of doing the housekeeping. So, women's toilets to the right, men's toilets at the back. We assemble out here, and the smell is purely natural, all right? So don't worry about it, nothing is going to happen. Look, I do welcome you all on behalf of the Surf Life Saving Club. I know we've got a lot of people here for this meeting, particularly for a lot of different things, but it's awesome to see a great turnout, and it's awesome to see a great turnout of councillors. So I thank you for attending Waipu. This is the further south you'll have to come, many of you, so thank you. It's great, and great to have all the staff here. So kia ora, have a great day.
Okay, thank you, Rick. We'll just move on. Any apologies? Okay, can I remove them? You don't remove, no, so they're out. Okay, so we'll do the conflicts of interest as we go through the meeting. So,
Here at the back.
or the front. Okay. Okay. So we'd like to bring forward, we've got the presentation of the Green Bay Guardians. Now you have 5 minutes to talk. It's a presentation. Councillors, you've got 5 minutes to ask questions. Okay, so can we have the person who's presenting on behalf of the Green Bay Guardians Society, please?
Unfortunately, the public can't. We can move it around. You better pull it out.
Oh, do you want to do that, Rick?
Don't. Hopefully it'll stay there. Henrik.
Oh, wait a minute. And before we start, can I just ask of the members of the public who's there because of sand mining? Could you put your hands up? Is that everyone? Thank you. Okay, who's here because of sand mining? Put your hand up and yell out. Thank you.
I might pay if you do your presentation there.
I think we will. Yeah.
Stand here? Yeah, okay.
We've combined the two groups together to make this more efficient. So we're assuming we've got 10 minutes of talking and 10 minutes of questions. Is that okay?
No.
Yes.
5 minutes.
Yep.
Morena, good morning. My name is Pamela Tindu. I'm a Langs Beach local. I'm here today speaking with other local residents. I'm going to start off by showing some footage that was taken right outside here, the smell that Rick referenced. So this footage was taken last week. It shows sea creatures, mollusks washed up from Green Bay after the storm. What I think is really interesting about this is that it is not a monoculture, it is not dead shells. This is a really rich species, many ago it was being placed from. Okay, this one, I've left some details at the end of the slide. Not a lot of people around here know, but there's a 6-episode series, a David Attenborough BBC series that's available at the moment on TVNZ. There's a 15-minute sex segment that is filmed in Green Bay. That's the only New Zealand content in the whole series. So the episode features false killer whales and bottlenose dolphins that are cooperating. They are hunting together. It's a world first that this has ever been filmed. And the habitat here in Green Bay is very important for these special animals. So we don't have time to obviously watch that footage today with our time limit, but the details are all there, and I would really encourage you to watch that just as a reminder. See dolphins just gives you some more insight into what's going on here in Green Bay. I'll hand over to Mark.
Okay, so one of the things we're looking at is this fast track legislation. Someone got something they can turn off. One of the interesting things is this fast track is all based on economic growth. That's the whole point of fast track. It says that it's got to be regional and or national growth that people are producing. By the way, when I say McCullum's, I don't mean Mr. McCullum, I mean the company, McCullum Brothers Limited, have put in a preliminary economic report which we've analysed, and the analysis shows there is absolutely no benefit to Auckland, to Northland in terms of the economy. Their ship sails up at Grabsand, it goes back at night. Sails up Grabsand, goes back at night. There is no jobs in that here. In fact, what will happen is all the businesses around here, including these cafes, will gradually die as the sand disappears and we get more of the seaweed, because the effect of sand dredging is to put silt onto the grasses. They'll wash up on the floor, on the sea front here. And if you like the smell today, get used to it, because it's going to happen over and over again if we have sand mining here. McCullum's also claimed that if they don't do the sand mining here, Auckland's going to run out of sand. Becca Carter have done a report on the number of sand suppliers in Auckland. There is a surplus of sand in Auckland without McCullum Brothers. There's people making sand and they're getting it from on-land sources as well. And one of the iwis just down the road has also got a large resource they've got a fast track application in for, which is on land and far more environmentally friendly. The only economic benefit in this is to McCullum Brothers. That's the only organisation or group that benefits from this proposal. For those old enough, they know what happened to Omaha after sand mining when all the infrastructure disappeared. They then moved on to Bream Bay, onto Parkery, and you will have followed the court cases where they've applied for a consent and been denied. I'll talk about that in a minute. In Bream Bay, we've got what's called a closed system. There is no sand almost comes in from the ocean into Bream Bay. The sand in here just goes round and round and round. Auckland University have done a research on how the beach has changed over the last 80 years. There has been absolutely no change in the beach over 80 years, so it's what you call a balanced system. The sand is enough to be distributed around this area and nowhere else. And there's about 20,000 cubic metres that flows around the beaches every year. When you take 9 million cubic metres out of the middle there, that 20,000 is going to disappear because it's going to feed the hole. For those that have got grandkids, you dig a hole on the beach, 5 minutes later the waves come along and wash it out and fill it up. Where does the sand come from? All around. So the only place it can grab sand from is around these beaches. So that's why we're going to have this smell. The 9 million cubic metres is 450 times the amount of sand flowing around. It's 6 times the size of the Mangawhai spit, the whole of the spit, which, by the way, is disappearing, and the likely cause is from the Parkery sand mining. The other thing is the fast track is to promote good actors in the industries that they are promoting. The Cullums have applied for a consent renewal at Parkery. The Auckland Council turned them down. They then applied for they appealed to the Environment Court. The Environment Court's turned them down. And the Environment Court at the end of the court case said they have grave concerns about the conduct and information that McCullum Brothers presented to the court, some of which was found to be completely false, some misleading and some miscalculated. And so they are a company that doesn't really stick with the rules. They have had numerous breaches of consent at Parkery. The Auckland Council has never, ever taken action against them except in the last few months. They have dug a trench out there so deep, it's twice the size I'm meant to do. And again, Auckland Council's done nothing about it. We are trying to get Auckland Council to prosecute them on that now. The worst thing they do is after storms, they dredge as fast as they can, because when the sand goes out from the beach, from the storm, it's very easy to suck up in their vacuum cleaner type thing. So they just suck it up. And when it's time for the sand to wash back again, it's all gone. It's gone to Auckland. And some of it's been put in Mission Bay, by the way. So they've used that at Parkery to make Mission Bay look better. The other thing is that we believe, from information we've seen, that they could well be dredging in Northland now, because when they turn their dredge around, which is a big ship, it goes through a big arc that goes into Northland, and we're wondering why Northland Regional Council hasn't checked it out. And I've asked a question. I haven't got an answer yet, but I would like to know. Thank you. Just to show me on time. Now, what I'd like to do is that there's a community effort out there to get money for these. I've paid for these, but I'd really like the councillors to have one. Yeah. And I've done that because I know councillors, and this is true, I've dealt for 30 years with council. Councillors are underpaid for the work that the community expects them to do, so I don't expect you to pay me back. Okay? Thank you very much.
Open up the floor. Any questions from councillors, please?
Just one question. You said there's an excess of sand on hand at the moment supplying Auckland. Is that because of possible over mining at Parkery? Is that what have you got any suggestion towards that or not?
No,
if they complied with their consent, would there be enough sand for Auckland?
They don't need the sand from Parkery to supply Auckland, for Auckland to not run out of sand. There's a surplus from other places where they get sand from.
That too.
Tēnā tātou katoa. I thought I would just stand first of all to mihi, kia koutou, te humokai, mo tatu hara kiki, kupu whakawātia, mo ngā reo whakawhikai, I tēnei ata o tēnei hui, o tātou katoa I tēnei rā. I'd also like to mihi to all of the locals and everyone that has come out today to express your opinions on this very important matter to us. And I fully support your ability to do this. I think this actually makes more of a fun and interesting and, you know, more of a all of us together kind of situation, because so often we don't have any public coming into our council meetings, and yet we make decisions that have direct impacts on your daily lives. So I appreciate your time and I appreciate your hospitality. And I also appreciate all the work that you've done through this community collaboration to come together. You have legitimate concerns around the ecological impacts, around the business impacts. These are my personal opinion as Deputy Lucky elected member. So I just wanted to mihi to you and let you all know that this is I commend your efforts, and unfortunately, you should know that we didn't support the fast tracking regime. As a regional council, we way of working, because essentially it takes local decision making out of the equation. It even takes the regional plans that we all wrote together, the Northern Regional Plan and the rules around the environment. It throws that out the window. And now we have a meter panel that make the decisions, not us, unfortunately. We've become a commenting, authority, merely. But we will use our voices. We will continue to use our voices to represent you in the best way that we can as councillors. So I just wanted to stand and mihi to you. Thank you for all of the information. I'm learning you know more about your area than I do. Patu Harakeke knows more about this area than I do, and I really appreciate your efforts today. Nā reira. Huri no te whare, tēnā koutou katoa.
I just want to say that not all the hapu in Terenga Prawa have been invited to any discussions on this topic. I stand on behalf of Judy Leroy. I am Patu Harakeke, but I'm standing here on behalf of Judy Leroy and Te Parapai, my Te Parapai, which belongs to the same Te Parapai that may be sitting at this table. Hona Edwards is my name, Maungaro Mamorai Poro Titi. I come all the way out here just because I found out about this thing last night. I would ask the council to invite all the hapu that have mana over this harbour to be alongside community to add our voice. Kia ora.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Look, I'd like to, first of all, apologise for my phone going off. Can't be karakia. Somebody calling about sand mining. Similar concerns. Look, I'd just like to point out that for those who don't know, our council submitted in opposition to the fast track legislation measures in almost all cases, but particularly sand mining in Green Bay or sand mining in Northland. So we are, to a great degree, you're preaching to the choir. That's fine. The fight's not going to be easy. Obviously, our major argument is with the government, because as Tui has quite rightly pointed out, we've been sidelined. Your elected representatives and the RMA that we are here to administer have completely been sidelined. So it's a centralised political decision made in haste, and I think everyone will find out that we can repent in leisure, because the outcomes will be very bad for Green Bay. Thank you.
Sorry. Thanks to you and Jack for your support for the community. It's been awesome. Now, I've attended a couple of meetings, and I would like Malcolm just to outline what you're actually doing next in this battle, all right? Because you've had some meetings, you've made some decisions, and I'd like, for the benefit of the council here, to know what you're doing next, okay? And where the council can support you on that.
Thank you, Rick. Firstly, we have had a lot of locals who have amazing expertise, and I guess some of the ones that we have is, could Dr. Spanu please stand up? If you look at our video, which will be on our website in the next few days, she's one of the stars of it. She is a marine geomorphologist. She's a doctor of marine geomorphology. She happens to be from Italy. Her husband, who's somewhere around Ben, is tied up with the America's Cup and Sail GT, so they go all over the world, but they're here for a while, and she has been contributing greatly. Also, we have Andre Labonte. I don't know if Robin's here as well, but Andre is a coastal expert, 50 years experience. He's been involved in all parkery stuff, including the Mangawai Spit and things like that. Who have I forgotten? There's a whole lot of others here, but the thing we are offering to the council is we've had a fighting fund started on Saturday night at a reception that Rick was at. We've got a very large target for funding. It's to fund experts, lawyers, PR and a whole lot. And we are happy to contribute to the council officers in any way we can to support them. The real key we're looking for now is to analyse the McCullum reports as they come in. We've got a whole lot of experts and big time lawyers, and they're all waiting to go. And so that's our focus, but we are absolutely certain we've got a case that they won't be able to stand up. What we're looking for from NRC
And what we'd be even more delighted to help if by fluke it gets through, we have a whole lot of experts all in our organisation that can help your staff understand about consent monitoring and sand mining, because they probably haven't had a lot of experience with this. We've got people here that have been doing it for 50 years. They can help you monitor, because one of the things that McCullum does is completely ignore the consent in a whole lot of ways. He's had a whole years and years and years of that. We want you, as the consent monitoring agency, to absolutely make sure if they get it through, they stick to their consent to the letter of the law. And the other thing we'd like to do is help you monitor the effects that may not be covered under the consent, but the effects that might happen around the place that we can say, look, there's a problem coming here, you need to step in. So if we can help in any way with that, we'd be absolutely delighted. We are teamed up, all the community groups around Green Bay are all teamed up together, and we are communicating, and Brenda's going to talk very soon with her petition. We are strongly aligning with Pātuhara Kiki. We think they are the key ones around here. And we're also wondering, as I understand it, Northern Regional Council is the one other body that has a right to submit in terms of the application. And I'd just like some assurance from Northern Regional Council that when the McCullum consent application is put in, that Northern Regional Council will inspect it properly and speak to the panel about what their real thoughts are. Because you're the only other ones.
I need to place it down, but you can be assured that we've got funding to support that idea. So, look, your time is up. You've got to finish off. Now, we're going to do another presentation, but then afterwards we'll have 15 minutes for a coffee break, and then you can socialise with the councillors. We've got to be, I have to say, time, we've got a big agenda to get through. So,
Actual question.
Oh.
I'm not going to say.
okay.
Is that all right? I'll be quick. Thanks everybody, it's really awesome to see the community turning out today. One question, can you provide us with your presentation so we can have another look at it? And the second one was that you mentioned something that you were hoping NRC would be doing. Can you just clarify what that was? Was it around, and during your talk, you mentioned something?
I said right during
You said something that you were thinking you'd like NRC to be coming out to.
I would like NRC to check whether McCullums have been sand mining in Northland, where they can. Because there's certainly a lot of stories coming out of there. And they're allowed to turn around, but they're not allowed to mine all that.
Yes.
So they have to catch up a cup of tea.
Yeah.
And we'll just socialise that. So now we've got Brenda, is it?
Yep.
Sorry. Oh, hold on.
Instead of Melissa asking her.
Oh, sorry, because it's used to do combining the two minutes.
Yeah, this is the already done.
No.
This is a petition.
Well, I've given you 10 minutes because you said you were doing 2 presentations.
You said, no, this is a completely different one.
Yeah, you've got to accept this petition.
Will.
Kia ora koutou, Chair and councillors, whenua. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Brenda Lundberg, and I'm here today on behalf of concerned communities of Green Bay against sand mining and the more than 15,000 people who have signed 2 active petitions opposing sand mining in Green Bay. Petitions hosted on Action Station and by the Endangered Species Foundation. I'm here to formally present these petitions to you. These petitions call on local councils, including Northland Regional Council, to formally oppose the McCullum Brothers application to extract close to 8.5 million cubic metres of sand from Green Bay over the next 35 years. 35 years. This is not a minor activity. It is large-scale industrial seabed extraction in a sensitive and culturally significant marine environment. The petitions cite the lack of genuine consultation with the community in mana whenua, the threats to critically endangered species like the taraiti, the New Zealand fairy tern, the risk to local surf breaks, scallop beds and sensitive marine habitats, the broader concern that this project runs counter to any modern definition of sustainability, cultural opposition from mana whenua, including Pātuhara Kiki and Ngāti Wai. The strength of opposition continues to grow. Thousands joined a peaceful beach protest in Ruakaka, a gathering that made national headlines. Local fishers and community leaders launched a boat protest in Green Bay, sending a clear message that this is our moana and it will be defended. A powerful formal claim has been lodged with the Waitangi Tribunal by Mere Kepa on behalf of Te Parawhau and Te Patuhara Kiki o Te Parawhau. It challenges the inclusion of this project in the fast-track approvals bill and the failure to uphold Te Tiriti o Waitangi. That claim outlines how this proposal threatens not only the environment, but the tino rangatiratanga and kaitiakitanga of local hapu. The moana, as they say, is not just a resource, it is a taonga. And we are asking this council to take a clear stand, to oppose this project in both principle and in practice wherever possible, to promote and encourage the use of existing and new sand alternatives. As we've said, it's not necessary to mine, and to ensure that independent assessments are provided to decision-making panels. To publicly acknowledge the risks to Bream Bay's ecosystems, marine habitats, surf breaks, scallop beds and species such as the critically endangered taraiti. To support mana whenua in their efforts to protect their rohe moana. And to uphold the intent of Te Tiriti o Waitangi by ensuring meaningful consultation, which to date has been severely lacking. It's also worth remembering that this is not just a local issue. All over the world, sand mining has been linked to coastal erosion, fish stock collapse, mangrove destruction, and even the loss of entire communities. The UN has declared sand the most extracted and least regulated mineral on Earth. New Zealand is not immune. We can't keep doing this and pretending that it doesn't come with a cost. There are alternatives. It has been demonstrated again and again that mining sand from the ocean is not necessary to support ongoing construction and concrete for the developers of Auckland. There are other options. And so in closing, the voices in these petitions are not fringe. They are reasonable, informed and growing louder by the day. And we're asking you, as stewards of this region, to protect what is precious and irreplaceable and to represent the interests of our region at any hearings or consultations with the EPA or fast-track decision-making panels wherever possible and pursue appeals if necessary. This council has the opportunity to demonstrate leadership, foresight and respect for the environment, for tangata whenua and for the people of Northland. Bream Bay is not just sand, it is not a quarry, it is home, it is habitat, it is heritage, it is a living system and it is not for sale. It deserves your protection. Please stand with us. Thank you. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou.
Thank you, Maureen. Just open it up to the councillors, please, Mr. Shaw. Any questions? Okay, thank you, Maureen. We'll finish off. We've got Maureen next. Sorry.
No, I was Maureen. But I'm Brenda.
Sorry, I got another Maureen.
Hello everybody, I'm Maureen Bell and thank you all. Lovely to see you all here in our beautiful community of Waipu Cove and thank you all for turning out. I didn't come about sand mining, but other things that the local community have also been addressing for a number of years because we have an issue with drains and ingress into the end of the drains and a structure that was put in to work for all of us in the community, but unfortunately the maintenance and that sort of thing has not been held up. And when you do these things, if you don't make sure that the things are done, of course it just doesn't work. And so numerous residents, we've had meetings with the board and council, etc. over the past 10 years, and plans have been drawn up and everybody agrees, but actually nothing really happens. So I'm also speaking for some lovely of our residents who are actually overseas and not able to attend today, but were quickly sending me messages this morning to make sure that I was going to be here and speaking to everybody. And so the question is to NRC, is following on from the drainage plan that was put into place, that it's between the Domain Board, Council and DOC. Has a resource consent been granted to get rid of those few little mangroves at the end that have ingressed into the open concrete drainway?
That's a question for the staff. Do you want answers now?
No, I'd love an answer now. Gosh, we would love an answer now. We've been waiting for so long.
We've got somebody from staff sitting in the panel here.
Yep, lovely.
Are you aware of the issue?
I'm aware of the issue of drainage that came up and need to get into.
Yep.
I'll follow up in terms of whether or not the application is not aware of that.
Well, November 2023, the agreement was reached that yes, things were going to be done, yes, it was going to be done. We're now in, what are we in now? April 2025? So the first lots of correspondence go back, as I say, 10 years. We're sort of, you know, we get pieces of paper, all of these sort of things, but in actual fact, we don't get anywhere.
Okay, Maureen, so Colin will get the email and have a cup of tea.
I'd love an email, and I would absolutely. And that's the thing, and it just sort of thing, because at the moment, the issue at the end of the drain is actually really quite small. And if we address the issue with the invasive mangroves that are down there now, and I think there's a wild tree that's growing in and up. The issue at this stage is still what would be regarded as minor. It is not out of control, but it needs to be addressed. And as I say, it's there, it's the means and everything, but because it is DOC land, and apparently DOC have no money, and then I was told that NRC has no money, etc. So we just want to know, as community here, we've all been here, I'm 61 years here in Waipuko, so my parents and brothers and sisters were all on boards. So we love our community, absolutely adore the beach. We do more cleaning up, and that's the thing. We don't really like the smell of the red weed and the shit that's been thrown around, but we would really like to see that gone. And there are answers that we are all waiting for desperately. So hopefully we'll get them. Yes, what?
We've got 1 minute left.
No, I'm finished. I'm glad.
Certain lives thing.
No, I can go after that.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, tātou talk or Chase Kahalanta Benwa. Councillors, Chairman, thank you for 5 minutes. Members of the community, huge, probably the biggest council crowd I've ever presented in front of. I have a brief presentation, but this is largely a good news one. We just wanted to come to say thank you for your ongoing support. It's huge, and your recent sort of increase in support has been massive. I've got a few statistics. Yachty. There we go. Right, so in total for the life-saving patrol beaches here in Northland, so we've got Ahipara in the far north, Whangarei Heads, Ruakaka, Waipu and Bailey's Beach over out of Dargaville there. We had 27 lives saved this year. So when we say life-saving rescues compared to 70 people that were assisted to safety, those 27 people would have undoubtedly perished in the ocean this summer. So that is your direct contribution, and it's huge. We had quite a few major first aids, so 18 of those, that's people that require hospitalisation or additional medical treatment. And then quite a few minors, 83 that have dealt with at the beach, 17 searches. And probably the biggest bit of work that the lifeguards do is the preventative work. So 3,179 preventative actions undertaken on the Northland coast. And that involved just over 24,000 people. So huge bit of work there, 19,000 plus man hours altogether just at Northland. This one here is just a bit of a statistical breakdown for any of the nerds or anyone that really wants to know. I'm sure this presentation will be made available to you after. Over there in the numbers, that's the delivery model. That's what you guys have funded just over the summer being grants. And that was incredibly insecure for us and a lot of work as well to try and get that funding in. So again, I wanted to thank you for that because we now have security around being able to provide that service to the community. The two sort of darker blue weeks on the end there where we were actually able to increase the service to meet the community needs here at Waipu and over at Mangawhai. And lastly, I actually just wanted to show what our summer delivery model will be for next summer, which is secure. I have no odd colours there because to largely what it seems like our community needs, we assess that every single year. We take key counts on an hourly basis. We review that annually. It's been reviewed, put against the budget, and looks like we have a great summer this year. So again, thank you very much. And if anyone does have any questions.
Councillors?
It's easier for me to project my voice if I stand aroha mai. I just wanted to, and not necessarily on this surf life saving, but thank you so much for the update. We had some grueling negotiations over some of these things, but we were very happy, I believe, to have landed where we did. I just wanted to address some of the comments from some of the presenters around our role as regional council, and our staff can correct me if I'm wrong. We won't be able to do a submission on the fast track application unless we're invited as a key agency by the ministerial appointed panel. Yeah, as a regional council. And secondly, because I assume that we would, but we need to have these conversations at the council as well. So this is really timely. And secondly, the monitoring, so if it goes through, even if we were invited and we did a submission to oppose, the weight of our submission is not that strong. It's only as strong as the panel gives it to us. And even if we said no and they still gave it, they gave a long list of consent conditions, yes, we would be responsible for monitoring them. But we wouldn't be able to go, oh, we want to change this and change that. It's really tough for me to give you that message, but I think it's key that we continue to give you, as to the best as we know in terms of how this is going to play out. And I just really encourage that you keep in touch with us, particularly those of us councillors that are really interested in this neck of the woods.
Okay, I'd like to get the surf life saving their time, please. We're going to stop for a cup of tea for 15 minutes. So we'll just carry on with the surf life saving.
So, Chase, just look, there's a lot of councillors here from the far north. There's only one beach patrol in the far north, and I know Peter Lucas Jones is on Boom, Joe Carr's there, and Marty's here, and they got one beach. So I guess their question is, we're paying for 6 beaches, only one in the far north. What is the plan, or what is the sort of cost to get any more patrolled, or is there any sort of move to get anything further up north?
It's a great question, Rick. Look, that one's, at the moment, our services, particularly the paid lifeguarding service, very much data-driven. It's like the most populated beaches and probably the most dangerous, arguably, are the ones that are patrolled. We are absolutely open to expanding our services, but unfortunately it does come with a cost. Yeah. And so we are more than open to working with council and the local communities to expand our services. Bailey's Beach is actually the most recent addition in terms of a volunteer surf club to the organisation as a whole, as well as the paid lifeguarding service there. And it was directly in response to the community and what they wanted. And they stood up and said, we want a service, we need a service, can you help us? And those members of that community actually came over to Ruakaka and trained and upskilled here so that they could then patrol back on their community and their beach. So that's a grassroots, from the ground up kind of approach. It's one way that it can be done in some of these far north communities. But another way is where you can just come outright and put one of these paid services 7 days a week. But it is expensive. But there could be a way to start that snowball effect, I suppose, of getting some of the local members engaged and wanting to join in. But it will come at an additional cost. And we might have to, if we wanted to do it, we'd have to sort of shrink some of the other services. And as the manager that runs the operations, I'd be very nervous at cutting back anything that we have and have worked hard for. So.
Indeed. Okay. Any other questions? Because I'm mindful of time, the big agenda. So if we stop now for a cup of tea and give ourselves 15 minutes to socialise, have a cup of tea, and we'll ask any of the councillors questions and get feedback. Councillors, we need to be back here in the section 20 past 11. Start again. Right, thank you. So we're just going to receive an item from Chris Taylor, item 4.0A, attached agenda. So can I have a mover and a second for that? Rick? Marty's a seconder? All in favour? Aye. Okay, so this will come up later. All right. Yes. Yep. Okay, so we've confirmations of the minutes on page 15. I have a mover and a seconder for those minutes. Yeah, okay. I wasn't here. Okay, Amy, any issues here? Checking that we're all good. All in favour? Aye. Against? Okay, the receipt of the action sheet, page 31, item 5.6. Jack will move it. Amy will second it.
Yeah, I'm going to second it.
Okay. Discussion points. Yep.
What page is that on?
22.
Well, I just see that we were supposed to report it back about, we were going to have a workshop, we haven't done that.
No, questions?
We are actually going to use the governance briefing earlier. So it's
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That answers that.
Thanks, Chris. No other discussion?
No?
No.
All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Okay, page 33. Financial report to the 31st of March 2025. Item 6.1. Tucker Skipwood. Recommendations that the report of financial report 31st of March received. Can I have a mover? Yep. Correct. Jeff will second it. Any issues? We went over this in the workshop. Yeah. Any discussions? All in favour? Aye. Again. Okay, we go to page 40 now. Council deliberations on the proposed amendments to the long-term plan 2024-2034, item 7.1. Three recommendations here. We can take recommendations 1 that we received. Okay, so we have Rick, the receiver, and 2.
Taking each one and trying.
Yes, taking each one as. Okay, so we.
I made a vote to second one.
Any questions? No? Sorry. All in favour? Aye. Okay, so that's 1 done. Okay, so we've got items 2. I'm happy to move those 2. Jack and Julie. Okay, any discussions around this? Item 2 is council acknowledged received 42 submissions.
I'd like to move an amendment and recommendation 3 that instead of saying required to support that change, which may suggest a predetermination, that is changed to any potential change. I'm happy to be talked out, but I'd like to move that.
Well,
We did receive legal advice on
Yeah.
wording this particular resolution. Change the wording based on legal advice.
Yeah. It's an acceptance matter was just to get away from any sense of predetermination. But I'm happy to take that advice. Thank you.
On the table.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Jack.
I move. No, I think that the report is self-explanatory and we've got the details of the hearings. It's a report on the hearing, so I'm happy to move it as is. Thank you.
Okay. You were second. You second it?
Oh, yeah, well, kia ora. I would like to acknowledge all the public submitters, and I'd like to acknowledge the iwi hapu that invited us to speak with them during. We understand that it has been a short process, and I believe that I support us moving forward in this with their support to make a more secure region. Kia ora.
Rick? Truly beating to it. Okay. I think it's the first time we've had any sort of public submissions for a while, and they were great, they were well received, they were well presented, and councillors were good comments. I just think it was a good process. I'd like to see it continue in future, and I do again thank those people who submitted, and Kiwi and Hapu as well. It's great to see.
Any other discussion? Okay. All in favour? Aye. Against? Okay, go to page 99. 7.2. Do I have a mover and a second? Just, we've got just one. Yes, so that's Amy. Seconded. Okay, John. All in favour? Yes. Passed. Okay, we're going to go through item by item.
I'd like to move all the rest, please.
Yeah, I'll second them.
Okay. So that's 2 through to 7?
8. 2 to 8. Okay, so that is Rick. You second it? I'll second it.
Okay. Two.
Okay, Rick.
So I know it has been, as Drew pointed out, it's been a short process that we've been discussing this in the cover, but we have been doing it for a very long time, and I'm very happy with the conclusion we've come to, and I'd like to move on with it and get it kicked off. So I'm very happy to support it.
Okay, Drew.
Kia ora, like for Rick has said, I'd like to also acknowledge our team and all of our experts that have led to this. I know that this has been many, many hours and many, many months, and you know, it started out as an idea to improve decision making in the future and be more inclusive, and yeah, I think that we've come to a good place, and I'm glad that we have you know, such council support for this, and so yeah, many to the staff and everybody that's been a part of it.
I'd just like to back up to here. I think as a local government, we've taken on a huge undertaking, 18 months of confidentiality to get to this point. I'd like to acknowledge Johnny Gibbard and Bruce Charles for their work and leadership around this. It's been outstanding. Going over and above their roles, local government, not only did they take on this role, but they still did their own work. Well done. Yeah. Do we have all in favour? Yeah. Aye. Against? Passed.
Can I just say, I think we should acknowledge, like, we had a long agenda today, 900 pages, and I know a lot of people, a lot of the public have said, no way everybody's reading that. But it hasn't been 900 pages for a month, it's been 900 pages for 18 months. So we've had these documents for a very, very long time. And although the public consultation process was short, the council process was very long, and I do believe that everybody has read all of those. And although I wouldn't like you to ask them what's on page 97, I have looked at them all, and I'm sure you that all other councillors looked at them and taken it very seriously. So I think it's really important to get that message out.
Well done. So, all right, okay, so let's move on, talking about long pages, to page 330. Okay, which is item 7.3. And that's to approve to borrow 41.8 million to fund the investment into North Port Group Limited. I think we'll just take the first one as the receiver. The report approved 4.1 investment. We'll sign it. Okay, Amy. John. All in favour?
Aye.
Pass. Now, there's some big numbers here, so I think we'll just take item 2, about borrowing the money. Please. Can I move it? Jack?
I'll second.
Any discussion around that, Jack? We've got interest rates here.
I think they're very favourable. I mean, obviously we can hear from the government funding source, which is below the market. So I think it's very intelligent and most flexible means by which we achieve our ends, and it gives us a little bit of time to actually work around our own assets and decide how many need to be sold or how many need to be funded by returns from the new entity. Thank you.
Okay, John?
Yeah, so I'm going to a question to Bruce. And recommendation 2 would be any value in qualifying for 41,800,000 as the maximum 800,000, because if we other capital sales, etc., that will change down.
We still need to borrow the initial 41.8 million because we haven't sold the assets yet.
Yeah.
We have put in the carnage credits, and that's in there. But we haven't sold the other assets yet, so we still need to borrow up to that 41.8 million.
So this is up to
I think the actual figure, because we need to draw down a lot of any sales between now and when the scheme gets voted on, and if it's voted on favourably, time to pay, it's going to be
okay, hello, no problem. Yeah, just wondered. Yeah. So I'm happy with
On the day we need 41. Okay, any other questions about this before we receive item 2?
Yeah, just as a comment to it, yeah, it is a very big project, and so just acknowledging big sums, but it's a big agreement that has taken a long time, a long process to get through it. Just acknowledging the size of the project and the size of the future for Northern.
Just one thing, as a mover, I'd just like to give the public the reassurance that we are the second lowest indebted council in New Zealand, second lowest debt to asset ratio and debt to rates ratio. We're very fortunate to have a huge asset base from our share portfolio, our land holdings and shares in what was in March. Our loan headroom is around about $85 million before it affects our ability to borrow, and it affects the rate at which we can borrow. So we're nowhere near our maxing out our headroom. So we're in a really good space to borrow this and more if we want, because we believe we can turn this asset into a better performing, much higher return than what we're paying out. Thank you.
Discussion, all in favour? Aye. Against? Proceed. Okay. Let's take the next 2 items together. Chair for and remove them. Neither mover for that. I'm sorry, right. Take a vote. Do I have a second? Two. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. Do you want any more discussion on this? No. Okay. I don't. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Proceed.
It shouldn't.
Okay, we go to page 335 now. Elected members' expenses, allowance and policy.
Can't have a drink on that one then.
7.4, not yet, Marty, just keep
no,
your.
I'm cheap.
Okay, move both of them?
Yeah.
Yep, Joe.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favour? Aye. Against? Proceed. Okay, page 338. Local body triennial elections, biennial elections. Recommendations. 4 recommendations here. Do you want to take them all together? Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got John and Rick. Any discussions around here? All in favour?
Aye.
Against? received. Any questions? Okay, moving through, we've got page 367, item 7.6. Okay, continuity over council recess. So we've got 5 items. You can take the whole of the 5?
Yep.
Okay, Marty. Anybody? Thanks, Marty.
Chris, has there been any change on the previous triennium, or is it a rollover? Has there been any modifications made? BAU.
No other discussion? All in favour? Aye. Against? Cease. Okay, this one's for Bruce. Okay, page 371. We've got Regional Software Holdings Limited Statement of Intent. We've got 2 recommendations by Bruce. Items 1 and 2. Lever for Dick will move 1. For both? Both both? Yep, you leave both. Okay. Any questions for Bruce? All in favour? Aye. Against? Well. Moving on to page 415. You will. Quick. Navigation safety vitals. Yes, big one.
I definitely want to move this one, thanks.
Okay, we're not going to take more points.
Take them all except for 7.
Okay, so we'll just take 1 to 6.
My name's on 7.
I'll have second 1 to 6. Thank you. Okay, so we've got Rick and Jack. Okay, any discussion?
Well, it's well overdue, the review, and the reminder is, we just point out there's minor changes. There are a couple of controversial things, but I think it's important to get it kicked off. Should have been done a long time. It's not our fault. The sooner we get it done, better.
Can't believe it later done and said it's not our fault.
It's not our fault.
Anyway, Jack.
It's out. No, I'm very happy. It's out for consultation.
Yes, it is.
Okay. It goes out for consultation.
As well as Rick says, we're really due another review.
Okay, all in favour? Aye. Against? Okay, receive 1 to 6.
So I'm happy to move 7 and 8.
I have to withdraw my name from, I'm not going to be out of the country at that time for hearing this, so I'll withdraw my name. Thanks, sir.
Okay, so Amy, you're taking 7 and 8?
Yeah, I can take 7 and 8, but we need to.
You're taking that 7 and 8?
No, we need a.
Discussion. Yeah. Is anybody got a second Amy's move?
Well, no, we've got to have that name change first.
We have to make an amendment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll take amendment number 7. 7 and 8?
So I've moved to and seconded.
Yeah. So we're going to remove.
But now I can't amend, so somebody else will take the amendment.
Because there was one move and second,
Oh,
change.
Right.
There's consensus about who you want to go.
So we done that part?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'd like to nominate Jack.
Jack, are you happy with that?
Sure.
Okay, Jack's name.
Very of interest to me.
So the amendment would be that we're nominating Blackwell for and Scott.
Yeah. Yeah. Have a second.
We 3 have done this sort of thing before.
It's dangerous. All right, so all in favour?
I do a 7 and 8.
You go with it.
You change something time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's received.
Thank you.
Now then we do the 7 and 8.
That was done.
We've done that, so that covered off. Okay.
You all done?
Well, no, so we had to do that.
So did I.
Okay, page 488.
Already.
So this one, Chair, can I please move that we leave it lie on the table?
Yes.
So this is the future
Yes.
development strategy.
Yes.
And so that means that we won't discuss the content of the strategy or look to vote on its endorsement today, but WDC have asked to have a little bit more time so they can have one more council briefing before they bring it to their formal meeting. So in the spirit, so I'm very excited about this piece of work and looking forward to bringing it to the table. In the spirit of collaboration, we will get it on the table and bring it to our next meeting, which is the 27th of May. So yeah, thank you. So do I need a second?
Yes.
Cool.
I have a question. Can I ask? I'd like to ask Amy, are you confident, I mean, as one of our two reps on that steering committee, are you confident that WC will reach agreement by next month? This is minor stuff?
Yes.
Because there are quite a few moving parts that we know about with the large hub and stuff like that. I'm just wondering, some of those are quite long term.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if there's any
So the
complications.
Knowledge Hub work is very well integrated through the membership of the Future Development Strategy Committee. And so I think, yeah, my understanding is we're very confident that WDC will get to where they need to be. They just wanted a little bit more time to have one more council briefing. So the working party is the one who did the work on behalf of both councils, and we've endorsed it to come to both councils as the final version. So WDC really, it's more about socialising and talking through. Maybe some of the questions are more about implementation and things like that. So
My question was, are you confident? Well,
yeah.
can be. Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
So we have 10 Uber in the room. Just a couple of minutes of an update on the direction.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes, I appreciate the opportunity to let this lie on the table. It's something that our councillors have asked for a little more time to work through in a briefing. To the question, are we confident that it will get through? I think yes, the work has been done through a joint committee. It's been successful. I've been on it. It's been great fun, and the results were very, very well supported in the feedback. I think 90% of the submissions were in favourable of what we were doing or proposing. Okay.
Yeah, so can I just, well, I probably can't, but we don't need to workshop this anymore. I assume that the council is supportive of this, and we're not going to meet, we're not going to discuss this again the next month, are we? Is that correct?
Amy, do you, when the updates come through you think it's worthy of us having a discussion?
Yeah, so Ken and I are in close communication,
Okay.
so I'll absolutely stay abreast of how that briefing goes with WDC, but I feel really confident about the position that we're in, and I think I just want to reinforce Ken's sentiment that it's been a really thorough process. It's similar, it's been about 18 months and a massive consultation, and so the community support for this work is really there, so it's just about ensuring all our political elected members feel confident and comfortable with what they're signing off with WDC. So it's giving them that extra time.
Yeah, I've expressed before some of the concern about how it fits in with the whole of Tautokura, but understand and accept that it's a live document, that it's a strategy, it's not as though it's locked in stone or anything. So as long as Whangarei understanding of that they're not giving away their future, that there is time or room for modifications in the future. So for that reason, I'm happy to vote for it.
So there are review clauses in there, so it's always going to be getting updated. And what I think is really great is we're seeing a really strong direction from the current government that they want to see spatial planning undertaken, and that's exactly what this is. Yeah. So I think it sets Whangarei district in a good position, and then it's a really great foundation. The reality is we want to see it done for the other districts in Northland. So for all of the Katoa, we have a similar strategic vision for how we're going to develop. So yeah, it's a really strong piece of work, and happy to talk about it more in 1 month.
Yeah, well, I've expressed the same concerns for the key.
Right, so let's allow the table. We don't have to sit. All in favour?
Aye.
So we go to the table item now, which should be Stella, but we haven't. We can pass it out. So we're on to the proposed environmental wastewater standards draft NRC submissions. So we've got 3 items on here. 3 recommendations.
It seems like sometimes it's can I get some advocates to do more?
Just take it forward.
Can I start? Yes.
Oh, we're up to the table items. The draft, official draft. 7.10. 7.10. Item 7. Yeah, that's next. Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay, everybody, you've got your table items? Okay, so we've got the first one, proposed environmental wastewater standards. We've got a submission form from NRC. There's 3 recommendations here. Can I move it? Jack?
I'll second.
That's for all 3, is it?
Yep. No discussion?
I thank the staff for being extremely nimble and getting this together extremely short notice. It's a very fine submission in my view. I've read it, and it's based on the findings of our workshop a week ago.
Are there any members with it?
Yeah.
Sorry?
I'm just just for process, and moving forward, noting that it's told by the other way, that the submission is going to. Do we know whether or not they're going to have a hearings on it at this point?
I'll kick that there. There's no requirement for hearings under the services bill. Complicating matters is, sorry, what was to say, complicating matters in the services bill should the authority implicit instruction. So I don't know if I might be making standards once the bill is enacted. So the quick answer is I don't know. But we probably won't hearing.
I just wanted to say on that, thank you to the staff for getting a thorough submission together. Thank you to our 2 Ruarangi members who attended the workshop and assisted in the robust submission. Kia ora.
Okay, all in favour?
Aye.
Okay, we've got the next one on that table item, which is your area, Marty and Joe, which is the Ohio Stage 2 slope mitigation works.
I'm happy to move.
Both? Okay, yeah. You second it? Okay, Joe? Any discussion?
Seems timely, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Joe, any questions? 1.53 million to be unlocked. Any property for Stanley?
Yeah. I was talking to the staff on discussion about how they actually enhance some land out in Ohio Village. Some in the vicinity of the block of River. That's the one hotel, actually, some public ground.
The finance don't really the centres of David Road, centre of the road, below the population base, I suppose. Is that common?
Government ground.
I don't know what it is, it's very low. I have to check out how it's there. Let me get back to John for the response on what's the other things there and what schemes funded. That's a question we go.
All right, let's take the vote. All in favour?
Aye.
Yes. See. Okay, so go back to the health and safety report, 3rd quarter, item 8.1 on page 5. I have a mover, Jeff will move it. Yep, I'll second. Correct. Any discussion? I have no discussion. I've read it, been over it, we've discussed it. Anybody else want to have a discussion?
Yeah, I just want to lead to the staff over the aggressive let's ensure that we're all safe and our staff are safe, and I think our GMs and everyone for taking part in that and just want to acknowledge that kind of feel that.
Okay, all in favour? Against? See. Okay, page 592, item 8.2 is Chair's report.
I'll second it.
Okay, I'll move it. All in favour? Against? See. We've got the big one here, which is item 8.3, Executive's report. Diva, he's online. Maybe not.
Yes, I'll give you that. Suit up top.
Can I remove this list?
I'll move it.
Okay. Any discussions while they're working here? First thing I'd like to highlight through Colin's team, because I don't think we started in the meeting. No, but maybe not.
Let's go back.
Here we go. Perfect. Maybe they should all get back. That's how you find a way to do it. Yeah.
I'm surprised to take you this long.
So that gold track one.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's quite relevant that we've got about the polluted region here, next door, and polluted soil in all three islands. So be assured that I haven't rung Andrew after the storm to see how far through he is, but urgency is.
Just further to that on the global one, then I guess what's happening at the Bay, it's going to be right throughout, it's going to be right, I wonder it's going to be right throughout, right along the coast as well.
Or currents, who knows?
Yeah.
You know, they've got a washing, we're not sure how much it's going to stir up at the barrier as well.
Yeah.
On the other side, so, but yeah, 12 metre swell at the 9th. Big storms just
going to tear stuff away.
I just, on that, through the chair, I just want to acknowledge the community event that was hosted by Hapu over the long weekend. I see that it was a really great social media. It really got out there in the networks and it actually alarmed a lot of people in terms of the area that it's taken over. And there was acknowledgement of regional councils around the corner. But we were advised that at Omaki, we were, the community were advised that MPI had said that they couldn't carry out the action day. And so I just wanted to make sure that we could bring some clear messaging, to our community. So we're keen to get out and help the Hapu, and everyone turned out on the day, and it's not the best to have, a clash with MPI. Jeff,
so I'd like to reach out to Nice Manuel. They're in Meadows, I think, up there, and they took control of the issue. They've got some strategic points about biosecurity. Nice got on the phone to Tana Potaka, told them what they were doing, got agreement. So it's good to have good leadership within our area. She sits on our biosecurity control under Jack, and her and I discussed options for everything. So it's great to see her. She reckons there's 1,000 people doing that, and I think it's for awareness. 39,000 Facebook links. Was you never let a disaster go by without doing something else. Anything else you want to check?
I've got one little comment. I'd just like to council to note the initiative from our coastal team in holding those coastal conversations workshops. That was somewhat of a revelation to me. I went to one and I was about the concept of working with nature rather than against it, and how effective it is. Simply means that if you've got a sand dune, you're worried about erosion, as long as you can't have a sand dune, you don't put up a structure, plant it, and then the sand will accrete, because that's what the two native species, snowflakes and pingo, evolved to do. So we get results at very low cost. So it was an amazing learning experience for me. So I just like that. Thank you.
On the back of that, I think through John had a lot of good feedback on our community towards NRC, but when you reflect back, I think it's got a lot to do with councillors who really made difference on the marine protection and that sort of stuff. Like, it's all very well doing these, but if we don't allocate funds to support the co-bubba around the issue, it becomes failure. And I think John is on the line, but I know we have had lots of good feedback in our community, and I think that Tui opened, it was a good representative of that. So, yeah, well done.
I've got a couple of matters. One is on page 593, just the KMR. It would be interesting to see this in context with the whole of the KMR. It's got the statistics here on parts, jobs, skills, and work that has been done, but just to see it in context as a proportion of what, for instance, aerial view or map or whatever. An easy picture speaks 1,000 words. The other one I have is page 621. It's about the Northland floodplain ride. Update on impact. Just if anyone can give a slight update on the impact of the 3rd and the 4th of April, please. Oh, it's 620, sorry. 621. Yeah, 621, yeah. CDAN. The team visited 6 Marai and have completed flood mitigation works on 7 Marai thus far. These works were in the nick of time for 3 of our Marai following the heavy rain event. Any insights on
What are you actually asking?
Well, it's not quite clear which of the Marai were saved, but what happened to the other Marai, etc. So it's just like with clarification on that. Okay.
I don't have the exact names of the details of each Marai, which I can provide to the office. But certainly, feedback we did have, so we have done works as part of that 35 Pacific Marai project. It's really positive. There were a couple of bumps and bruises, and we've got to go back and do some repairs, but on the whole, it was very positive. Small things that we want to do with the rate that we have and make adjustments, which is really great.
Yeah.
I'll be able to provide more detail on it.
Well, it's more that, and it's good to hear that once again those impacts, small things having good effect. Thanks. Cheers, Chief.
John?
Yes, I'll go after John.
Oh, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, a lot of good green stuff when it comes to waste. Interesting in the news this week that Auckland had a lot of beaches that didn't drive south from here to the coast because of sewage. And it had that much need to it. Yet if it was one dairy farmer, it would take 5 minutes to get through that. That's one point. So congratulations for all these councils up here. One that came out too is about finance on page 594 and talks about for every $1 invested, you get $3.94 back, and it's for the that's fine. So every dollar creates more and more. What I'd like to see is what does it do to our GDP? Because New Zealand now imports more than we export. It's like we can't afford to pay our rent. And I wonder if the council focus on our GDP as well. This is probably a lot of this leading is working on connected to this dollars. We could show a return on that as well. There was a third point, but I forgot what it was. Thank you, John.
Oh, Kia ora. I just wanted to acknowledge our people that have been celebrated over the last month. We had the Māori Business Awards, and we had our co-chair of Te Warangi Pitatikine who received the Māori Leaders Business Award, and we also have our Tiraki, my fellow Tiraki Councillor Jones, who received the Te Hiringa Te Tihi Award for his international achievements. And acknowledging we have Puhana in the room who's on the panel and was there with the business leaders. So kia ora to them.
Just while we've got Jono, anything you'd like to say while you're online? Because that's your report. Okay, so that's not Jono's voice. Okay, all in favour? Okay, see. Okay, let's go to page 627. Midland Cultural Quarterly Report, 8.4. So I'm reading. Yep. Jeff will second it.
So, can I ask a question? The jump to 9%, 1.4 to 6% turnover, it sort of was going down quite nicely and then it jumped up. That's just the one-off, really, isn't it?
I looked at the pie graph.
Yeah, there's going to be fluctuating, but we expect anything from between sort of 10, 12.
Yeah.
Necessarily seeing an ongoing trend at this stage.
And thank you. And my other question was on the scholarships. Last year we struggled to get them all in the one room, but hopefully we can, we within council can meet them this time, because there's some that I would always recommend this to people, and a number have replied, and I would like to meet them. So it's very difficult.
We did meet.
We only saw 3. We only saw 3 out of 6, and then. So, it's really, I know it's hard to get them all together, but I reckon even if we brought them in, we'll together. I think it's very important, because a lot of them are staying in the organisation by the looks of things, so it's great. So, great initiative, and I think it's working really well. I want to celebrate that one. Thanks.
Yeah. Before we had COVID, the field days were the same thing, scholarships, but it was good to get back.
Yeah.
Doing something. Understanding that field days, but yeah. Okay. Oh, also, I see our staff's creeping up, and it's got the 348 in January, so.
And that's with the temporary people over the summer staff.
All right, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Received. Okay, we go to page 632, receipt of community minutes on our speech boards stuff. So, can I have a mover?
I can move.
Second.
Okay, so Marty, you sit on these boards.
Yeah, on the governor or audit board.
No discussion?
No, it's only one thing that came up really was wanting to make emergency landings with planes on the beach, which has happened over the past. But there's a bit of an aversion now towards wheels on the beach. So it's probably, it went to Hapu and it went to the iwi as to what they felt about it. They are not too keen on it happening on the beach. So that's now been changed, if I understand it. And I accept and understand it, because it's tapu, it's on our taonga for the Wairua. So you have to go with that.
Any other discussions here? Okay.
Yeah, I have a question. I wasn't able to attend the joint climate adaptation committee meeting, but I understood that there was a notice of motion tabled and initiated by Kaipara around the integrity of science, science-based decision making. So Amy, I'm asking, because I see the recommendations here to write to the Ministry for the Environment for the IPCC report. You can download those online, you don't need to ask the Ministry to send them. I wonder if it's a capacity issue on the committee, because we're not here to re-litigate the science. Amy?
Yeah, so it was supposed to be a really short agenda, but the notice of motion we discussed at length. But in the end, I think it was a useful discussion, because the reality is, having a joint committee of the 4 councils, we have to find and we can work together. So yeah, worked it through with Mayor Jefferson, who was representing that notice of motion. He also had an expert come in and speak with us, which was actually interesting and helpful. And then we basically workshopped an amendment to get to the point where the staff were comfortable and the membership was comfortable. The key thing for me was that NRC was to draft the letter. And so I knew that that would be coming through our team, and we were really clear that we could write it in a way that didn't in any way imply that we were questioning science, more just wanting an update to it as required. And what was also interesting is the second part of the meeting was actually a workshop to talk about the future of that climate committee, and we had some really switched on people who were there to help us talk about how our committee could be better performing in the future, and I felt it was extremely valuable for them to watch that dynamic. So they got to see what we're grappling with 4 councils in the room, different opinions, and so I actually thought it was quite productive. Yeah, so interesting. Never a dull moment.
Okay, we've got Councillor Jones. Get your hand up.
I think it was to understand that my promise I can see some application
Correction on that, it wasn't Hapu, it was the iwi present that because the Te Aotearoa Tohi is a taonga for Te Ara Wairua, it felt inappropriate that there'd be planes landing on the beach when they can easily land in any other place to be for emergency landings. Does that answer your question? Well, best of my knowledge, it would have been sent to all iwi by the chair or by the staff. You help me on that, Oriel? Sorry,
That's the
Chair.
report that was presented as part of the communal 4 PM meeting. We can resend that to councillors.
You'll get it in the mail. All right, so.
Thanks.
Question.
Yeah.
I think if I was a pilot of an aeroplane, I need emergency landing. I think I'd find the closest available site.
Yeah, absolutely. In an emergency, you've got to land somewhere. But this is just a practice one. It's a fair where there's going to be hundreds of light aircraft coming out. So practice days can happen anywhere. They can happen at an airport. But it was just the attraction of having it on Te Aotearoa Tohi that they thought would attract more people, and it makes it a bigger event. Sorry, I wasn't clear on that. Yeah. You don't have to tell people where they should land when they're heading for disaster.
Through the chair, it is the Euro Club. They've been doing a training like this for quite a while. But what they came to the Tuaroa board was to say this is what we're doing because of the objection of some of the iwi. So they presented what they've been doing. In the board gave their feedback that they both supported, but there was a presentation done by the club as well to just the other options.
All right, so that'll be sent to Councillor Jones after the board.
Okay, it'll come out in the form of.
Okay. All right, so no other discussions? All in favour? Aye. Against? Right, so we need to move into business.
I was still covered. We have one more on working parties.
Oh, there is 9.2.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Do I have a mover? Yep. Okay, Joe. Just seconded. Right, Joe, any discussion there around Kiriki right paper?
Yeah. Just like to discuss the white paper one very briefly. Just wondering to Louisa where we're up to with the LIDAR contract for that catchment.
Which is, so, through the chair, we have contacted the operators to do the LiDAR. They're waiting for whether soon as whether we're going to be able to go fly.
Thank you. Well, just convey my appreciation to staff for getting that.
Okay, we have, sorry, we're just distracted. All in favour? Against? Received. Just before we go into public exclusion, just got a guy who just wants to update us on what's going to happen for our field trip. Rick?
Yep.
Just before we...
Yep. Sorry, otherwise Pete's got to hang around while we...
Yep.
Sorry, we got short notice, but I thought we'd get it done.
That's okay, I'm sort of prepared. There'll be some slides. One of my colleagues has prepared. Yeah.
Sorry.
So, thank you. My name's Peter Hunt, and I'm representing the Bureau Conservation Trust. After the meeting, after lunch, Rick has asked me to organise a field trip, and I understand there'll be a number, not quite sure what number. I mean, it's a little bit of a snail trail as well for councillors and staff. So, firstly, thank you for your support. So, Rick has been sure of what we're doing, and we've got Don and his team. They've done a terrific job providing technical support and financial support for our group, which is supporting community-led conservation. Prior to 2017, this was supported mainly through the CPCA scheme. In 2017, the high value area of this Bureau review area was formed. And the land care group which formed at that time is now a charitable trust. So, go to the next slide, please. Over the past 8 years, the activities of the trust, our group has grown considerably. Initially, we were very focused on kiwi conservation, and this is where I started, but we've been encouraged to look wider, and particularly by kiwi partners who look at the whole environment. And so we've added from intensive pest control, we've also got pest plant control, youth education, a lot of work in the schools, and then water quality. There's been a big thing over but wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have been part of it without the support of NRC. All of this is heavily reliant on volunteers, so a lot of us pensioners with a bit of time on their hands, so go into it. But there's quite a wide range of people, a wide range of demographics too. Next slide, please.
Environmental warriors for themselves.
Sorry?
Environmental warriors.
Yeah. So there's a little dashboard showing we sort of record pest management results and some of the other KPIs. We have in more recent years been doing Kiwi survey work, and this is where the Kiwi, which were translocated into this area 2013, that's sort of spread out right over the area. It's 23,000 hectares is HVA, so I think it's probably one of the biggest ones. Yep. And of that, about 15,000 is contiguous native forests. Regenerating mahi, so it's great for Kiwi habitat and great habitat for many other creatures. So we're now doing work. Instead of just killing things, we're actually going and looking at what's happening. So 500 counts, we're going to track and play. Next slide, please. Some of my colleagues are very good at thinking ahead and planning. I'm a little bit more
myopic. So planning, getting a good structure in place, business plans, whatnot. So this is the HVA map. So it's deliberately been expanded out to include wide to include the people, and then this core area you can see green is one of the bigger patches of green in Northland, around about 15,000 hectares. Yeah, so afterwards, we're going for a little drive up to a vantage point.
It'll be fine.
It'll be sunny and we can see everywhere. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, so you just go up in the room now.